Welcome back to the deep dive. You've given us the source material, the articles, the stats, all of it, and we've done the work of synthesizing that chaos into, hopefully, some clear insight for you. Today, we are looking at the A-League clash between Brisbane Roar and Melbourne City.
And this one is a really fascinating case study. We've got data from Sofascore, APWin, SportyTrader, and Oddspedia. Our mission today is to cut through a bit of noise, solve what looks like a statistical contradiction, and really pinpoint the tactical moments that are going to decide this match.
Okay, so let's jump right in with that contradiction because it's what makes this game so interesting. If you just glance at the league standings, Brisbane Roar is having a much, much stronger season. They're sitting comfortably around third place.
Right.
But then you have Melbourne City, a team a lot of people would expect to be higher, and they're just languishing down around eighth. That gap alone sets a very strange stage.
It really does. And you have to understand the context of how they're getting those results. Roar has been efficient. They find ways to win games even when they're not really dominating.
Okay. City, on the other hand, they've had these flashes of brilliance, but they're just frustratingly inconsistent. But before we even get to the models, let's talk about recent history, because they share a key piece of DNA right now.
And that DNA is defensive solidity meets offensive frustration. Is that fair? It feels like both teams are really tough to score against, but neither of them looks like they're about to drop 4 goals on anyone.
That's it, exactly. Both sides have posted really solid defensive records lately. They're tactically rigid, they're well-drilled, and they just prioritize organization above all else, which leads us right to what APWin and SportyTrader flagged immediately. The expectation is for a cagey, very tactical contest.
And that's especially true for Melbourne City, right? I mean, if you look at their recent results, it just reads like a series of defensive slugfests. Absolutely. If you chart City's last 5-6 matches, a huge number of them have been these low-scoring draws or, tight 1-goal margin either way. They are constantly finishing under that 2.5 goal mark. This isn't a blip. It's a clear trend. It sets a very low baseline for the tempo of this game.
Okay, so here's the curveball. The contradiction we mentioned. Roar is third, City is eighth. Logically, you'd think Roar would be the clear favorite. But when we dive into the raw statistical models, especially looking at the 1x2 markets, that's your standard win, draw, or lose bet, the consensus just flips.
It does. The models actually point to Melbourne City as the slight marginal favorite. And we're not talking dominant favorites, not by a long shot. But they have a statistical edge despite being 5 places lower.
Okay, so we can't just say underlying metrics and move on. What is the model seeing that the simple league table isn't? Is it just their historical performance or something more?
It's definitely something more sophisticated. The models are probably factoring in metrics like expected goals against or XGA. That basically measures the quality of chances a team gives up, not just whether the ball went in. Got it. And City's XGA might be telling the models that their defense is fundamentally sounder than their results suggest, or that their 8th place spot is an anomaly caused by bad luck in front of goal, not bad overall play.
So the models are basically saying City is a better team than their record shows, and they're due for a bit of a course correction.
That's the long and short of it, yes.
Yeah.
They're betting on the underlying quality to shine through. But here's the key thing. Regardless of who is the slight favorite, the strongest consensus across every single source, Oddspedia, APWin, all of them, is that this will be a low-scoring game.
Under 2.5 goals.
Overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
The strong lean is toward under 2.5 total goals. This defensive battle is the one near certainty, and that's where we need to focus tactically.
Perfect. Let's do that. Section 2, the tactical matchup. So if the data is screaming defensive struggle, the main event is Brisbane Roar's defensive structure versus Melbourne City's possession-heavy attack.
Yep. The immovable object versus the, well, slightly inconsistent force.
Yeah.
But let's get specific. Brisbane Roar's defense isn't just about sitting deep. They operate in a really disciplined mid-block when they don't have the ball.
And what does that mean for City's attack? A mid-block?
It means they intentionally give up possession in the middle of the field, but they absolutely choke off the central areas as you get closer to their penalty box. It basically forces City to play wide into less dangerous areas.
So they're inviting passes, but only certain kinds of passes.
Precisely. SportyTrader noted that Roar has conceded very few high-quality chances this year because they just don't get pulled out of shape. Their defenders are incredibly regimented. City's going to have to be very, very patient.
Okay, so let's contrast that with the City attack. They have to break this down, but we've already said they're inconsistent. What's the issue there?
Their main problem is a lack of a sustained cutting edge, a real killer instinct in the final third. They average about 1 goal per game, which is pretty poor for a team that has so much of the ball.
60% possession sometimes,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. They control the game, but their attacks just stall out. It's often too many sideways passes, too many hopeful crosses. That sudden change of pace, that risky through ball, that's what's missing.
So if we put it all together, the tactical expectation for, say, the first 60 minutes is a slow siege. City with all the ball, Roar sitting in their shape, and the real battle is just in that little bit of space in front of the Roar defense.
That's absolutely right.
hmm
Roar will stay disciplined, and they'll dare City to be patient enough to break them down. City has to try and find gaps in the half spaces, those channels between the fullbacks and center backs. If they can't, they're in big trouble.
And that's where Roar's big opportunity comes from, isn't it? The counterattack. City pushing numbers forward, leaving space behind them.
Exactly. SportyTrader really emphasized this. Roar could thrive on just a few direct chances, a few quick counters. They might only have 35% of the ball, but if they win it back deep, they have the pace to hit City before their defense can reset. And that dynamic just reinforces the low-scoring prediction.
Right, because you might only get one or two of those counters to actually work in a whole game.
Yep.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, key deciding factors and individual brilliance. Because if the tactics suggest a stalemate, 0-0 or 1-0, then the goal that decides it probably won't come from a long, predictable build-up.
Yeah, and what's so interesting is that the models almost know this about themselves. They can predict the structure, they can predict the low score, but they can't predict a moment of chaos or pure genius. The sources all acknowledge that these tight games between them are so often decided by something unexpected. A late header from a corner, a penalty, a moment of magic.
So let's name some names. Who are the players who could provide that moment, that bit of magic that the stats can't see coming?
Okay, for Brisbane Roar, the name that came up was Justin Vidic. He's been really influential in clutch moments. His value isn't just about scoring a lot, it's about being in the right place at the right time. He's great in the air, his positioning is excellent, and that makes him a massive threat on those set pieces. They're so likely to be the difference maker here.
He's their opportunistic guy.
He's the ultimate opportunist, yes.
And on the other side, for Melbourne City, the pressure really falls on their creators to, cut through all that noise.
It absolutely does. The burden falls heavily on Max Caputo and Andreas Cohen. APWin stressed this. If City is going to find that one inventive pass to unlock Roar's defense, it's going to have to come from one of them. They have to be the ones to inject that bit of unpredictability the team so often lacks.
And given that we expect under 2.5 goals, the idea of the first to score advantage becomes just massive.
It is the single most critical moment of the entire match. APWin was really specific about this. In a game this tight, the team that scores first gets to completely change their game plan. If Roar scores first, they can just sit even deeper and make life impossible. If City scores first, they can use their possession as a defensive tool, just passing the ball around to kill the game.
So scoring first is basically a license to win the game.
It's almost a mandate for getting all 3 points. Yeah.
So we're right back where we started, really. Set pieces, aerial battles, and a moment of individual brilliance. The data gives us the frame, but the picture is painted by human execution under pressure.
That's the whole story. Late goals have decided Roar games before, and given how City struggles to create, a sudden, opportunistic goal, a deflection, a header from a corner, is so much more likely to be the decider than some beautiful 20-pass move.
This has been a really clear synthesis. We know why the models favor City, and we understand the tactical battle. So let's bring it all home. What is the final consensus verdict for our listener?
The sources are pretty unified on the profile of the outcome. Defensive solidity from both sides is going to suppress the goal count. That makes a draw, or a very, very narrow one-goal win, the most probable outcome. The experts are betting on tactical restraint.
And the final prediction summary. If you had to force a choice, where do the experts land?
The consensus just about leans toward that narrow win for Melbourne City. It's a slim preference, mostly because their underlying numbers are better than their league position. But I have to stress it again. The low score is the key certainty. Think 1-0 or 1-1.
That's a deep dive that gives you everything you need. We've gone from the table to XGA to specific players. So for our final thought, something for you, our listener, to think about as you watch this unfold.
The statistical models, they've done their job. They've told us it's going to be low scoring, it's going to be tactical.
So the ultimate question for you, the informed viewer, is how much weight do you put on that one single unpredictable factor? That moment of brilliance or that lucky break from a set piece that the models know is important but can never actually forecast.
That element of genius or
Right.
just sheer chaos is the true wild card here. The data says 1-0 or 0-0, but it's the player who takes that one golden, unrepeatable chance who really decides it all. That's what you should be watching for.
We hope you feel ready for this A-League clash. That's all the time we have for this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious.